The title of my talk is Greening Philadelphia. And I qualify the greening part because I have a secret to share with you. Philadelphia doesn't actually look like this. This is actually used, this picture is made using an advanced algorithm called Photoshop. The city actually is considerably grayer than this, but the Philadelphia Water Department capped the highway, added community gardens on top of it, added green roofs as far as the eye could see, and put solar panels on every possible surface. But the question is, if this is the ambition that the city is actively promoting, then how do we get to this outcome? And how are we going to get this outcome? Why are we trying to get this outcome? And is it even possible to get to this outcome? And that's the subject of my research. Actually, I'm finishing up a 4-year grant, and it was a grant with the EPA to study the process of building green infrastructure in Philadelphia. And so our story really starts with this stormwater permit, actually. The city signed probably the most aggressive stormwater permit that any city in the US has signed with the US EPA. And they committed in 2011 or 2012 through a consent order, a consent decree, to basically green 1/3 of the city, to create 10,000 acres of naturally vegetated systems that are meant to mimic the natural hydrological cycle and to infiltrate or detain water instead of putting it into sewers and putting to receiving water bodies. So the picture shows, this is an example from New York City, but this is kind of a textbook picture of how you use vegetated systems. You'd use pervious pavements, you'd use curb cutouts to try to bring water into the vegetation, hold it there for an hour instead of overflowing the sewers. But the reality in Philadelphia on your right is this is a heat map showing the age of the sewer system. These are the traditional gray sewers. And the red dots, which really are heavily concentrated to the center of Philadelphia, those are sewers that are 150 years old in Philadelphia. Those are in places brick, in places they are wood pipes. These are things that we're trying to replace with green infrastructure. And so what we did is start to think about this. The city has 2 math problems, however. They plan to get most of the green infrastructure through through redevelopment ordinance. They actually miscalculated the redevelopment rate, so they actually have to get much more in retrofit than they had planned. The second math problem is they only have $2 billion to spend, and $2 billion only subsidizes and stimulates a market, but can't directly build all the infrastructure you need. So if you think about a real estate transaction, you have investors, you have developers, you have owners, engineers. They don't actually have the investors and developers to stimulate this private market. So we did an econometric study of the policies and how people respond to fees and incentives. We did an extensive survey of what motivates property owners to take environmental actions. We did a statistical learning model to learn from expert opinions, and we did a user design process to understand how to present this information. What I'm proudest of is what I call, what the city is actually calling matchcom, which is, we built a prototype website that basically helps developers find their next retrofit client and helps consumers slash their water bills. Thank you.